Hey there everyone, welcome back. Today I have another comprehensive guide for RNG. I just want to have, as the tools progress and update and everything, I want to make sure that we have an up-to-date video for things. And so today I'm going to do a comprehensive guide for CFW list RNG on BDSP. I'm going to be doing this on Shining Pearl, and you'll notice that my splash screen looks a little different today, and that's because this is my Switch that does not have CFW on it in any way, shape, or form. It is completely untouched. It is also on light mode so that I can tell the difference. And in fact, we're going to be doing this so I won't have any of the normal crutches that some people rely on when it comes to CFW. I can't use any sort of capture site. I can't use anything. So we're doing this about as blind as we can. Now, that's okay. We have all the methods. We have all the ability, and we're gonna have a good time with this. So I'll go ahead and pop the Shining Pearl in there. All right, there we go. So again, this is start the software. I already thought I downloaded that. Anyways, there you go. You got to see my wife's name and my daughter's name. So, anyways, here we go. We're loading this up. So we're going to be starting out, and I'm going to be going through this entire process from start to finish. And by that, I mean we're going to be starting with the very first RNG that you can do in BDSP, and that is Trainer ID. So let's go ahead and I'm going to go in English. I'm going to load that up. And this will be separated out in 2 chapters. So anyone who is interested, they can just skip to whatever chapter they want. But this is going to be a very long video. Alright, so CFW list. You're going to be using the Blink GUI a whole lot for this. But first off, Trainer ID is actually really simple in its execution. Because what we're going to be monitoring here is we're going to be monitoring all the blinks of this Munchlax here. So let's go ahead a little bit. Alright, so we're going to get to the screen. Alright, I'm going to bring up the Blink GUI. Alright, so for those of you who are unfamiliar with this, this is a tool that was originally created by a Japanese RNG team. They determined that you can get the seed based off of the blinks of NPCs and your player character. And then Lincoln took that code and turned it into this GUI, which has seen quite a few updates. But here we go. Here it is. So essentially what it does is you have a whole bunch of different config files. I've already selected the Munchlax one because that's what we're going to be doing right now for Trainer ID. And essentially it has an image of the eye. Now you can click raw screenshot and get one from your own, raw output so that you can then crop out the eye, which is what I did in this case. Now if you have your camera connected as like another window to your computer, you can type in the name here and choose monitor window. If you are using a capture card or something like that where it's an actual counts as a webcam, which is in my case, camera 1 is my my Switch, whereas camera 0 is my webcam, which is currently blocked, so you can't see. Yeah, even if I was to accidentally switch to it, you can't see me. Not that anyone wants to. Anyways, so I've got config Munchlax. So here we go. Just a quick review on this tool. X is let's bring up a preview actually. Okay, so you can see it's pretty small because I want to make sure this is visible, readable for people. But essentially, this little box over the eye here. And let's see, we're gonna have to actually fix that eye a little bit here because the X and Y position are a little off. But essentially, what the X does, there we go. What X does is that moves a little box. In this case, there's a box over the Munchlax's eye, which is kind of hard to see. Let's go ahead and make that a little bit bigger, just so that people can see. Okay, great. So you can see that there's a box over the Munchlax's eye, and it's going from red to there we go, and it's going from red to has red with a blue box, and it sometimes turns all blue. So it was great. We get to demonstrate out this right now. So you see, by adjusting the X and Y position, it moves the location of the box. So you want to have a good enough shot, picture of the eye, because you want this to happen, where you have the blue box over the eye, and then when the Munchlax blinks, like that, the box turns all blue. That means it registered the blink fine. W just adjusts the size of the box, and H, the width of the box, and H adjusts the height of it. Threshold is... Oh good, I got update data. Threshold is just the measure of like how confident it needs to be that it's an actual blink for it to register. So the higher the threshold, the better, honestly. And then all this stuff is important when you're doing timelines. It is not important for trainer ID or even a few RNG tool types, but we're definitely not caring about it right now, so I'm not going to even go into it. So, and then here you've got a few options. Like you can see, I've stopped. You can do a preview so you can see what things look like. Stop tracking if you are tracking things. Timeline if you're going to do a timeline, which we'll get into later. Monitor blinks to get your seed by monitoring player blinks. But TID, SID is what we're going to be using here for the actual trainer ID monitoring. So here we go. We're ready to go. We got the box over the Munchlax's eye. So we're going to go ahead and click Trainer ID, SID. So now it's going to be monitoring. So every time it blinks, you can see that it logs it. So we get one blink so far. It logs that information, and then at the end, after it's gotten enough blinks, it will spit out the seed for us. So in this case, it's telling our progress right here. It's logged 3 blinks out of 64. So it will take a little while for us to get our seed here, but that's all there is to it in order to get your seed. In general, for this tool, you're usually going to be using monitor blinks for anything but trainer ID, but that's essentially just you're putting in the box over the eye you want to monitor, you hit monitor blinks, and then after it gets enough blinks, it will give you the seed. That's all there is to it. That's seriously the entirety of this program. But then there's other things, like it'll track your advances, and you could also set timers and do timelines and stuff like that. So there's a lot more to it, and we're going to be using it. But once we get our seed, we're then going to be going to my website, where I have put all of the BDSP tools on it over the last few days. A lot of coding, a lot of adapting things, and a lot of dealing with number types I've never dealt with before. But that is all now on the website, so you can use that to get whatever you want. Stationary, roamers, trainer ID, even eggs are there. So essentially, once we get our seeds, we're going to copy them all from right here, and we're going to put it into the website. So I've talked for a long time, and we're still at only 14 out of 64. So I'm going to just do a cut right here, because nobody needs to see 64 blinks. And if you're going to do this on your own, you're going to have experience this quite a bit. So let's wait, and we'll come talk again once we've gotten our seed. So we successfully have received a seed. As you can see right here, for those of you who this is your first RNG, the seeds for BDSP, they come in 2 different flavors, but for the most part we're only going to use one of them. So it comes in 4 separate seeds, or it comes in 2 big seeds. And if you notice, these 2 big ones are just 1 and 2 smashed together, and then 3 and 4 smashed together. For the most part, we're only going to be interested in these 4. So you can see now that we've gotten our seed, that we've also started to track the advances, and that's another nice thing that this GUI does, is that it will track your advances. Now, it's not doing it like with CFW, where it actually reads from memory and knows what advance you're on. This is just doing it based off of, it knows when the Munchlax is going to blink, and so whenever your Munchlax blinks, it updates the advances. That's an advance, essentially. So now we got our seeds. The important part is figuring out how to actually turn that seed into something that we want to use. So let's go ahead and we're going to bring up the website. Now, for those of you who are new to it, this is cappyrng.com. So you'll see now that the website has been updated a little bit here, and you can see a BDSP tab. And if you click that, well, first off, I finally figured out how to fix this, and now it says BDSP. So yeah, you have all your different little things here. We're interested in trainer ID right now. So there are two things here. This is a pretty simple input to just figure out, and this is a secondary tool that we'll get to, which is going to be very handy. So let's go ahead and we're gonna just copy the seeds in directly from the tool, just to make sure that we don't have any errors. So we're just copying and they just go in the order in the tool. Alright, so there we go. And now we have our starting advance, we have our maximum advance. Honestly, 1,000 is probably a bit. I'm going to leave it at that though. Then you have options. You can filter it based off of Generation 8 Trainer ID. Now this is the Trainer ID that shows up on Pokemon you catch. It's on your trainer card. This is the one that is the most visible. Then there's also Trainer ID, which is a depreciated one to be sure, but it's still important if you want to do egg RNG. Same thing with SID. And TSV is just not necessary for your purposes. It's calculated based off your trainer ID and SID, which SID stands for secret ID, and TSV stands for trainer shiny value. It's used to determine if an egg will be shiny or not, but in general, don't worry about it. However, if you want to filter on that, I don't care. Go for it. So let's go ahead and put this in here, and then you could put in a whole bunch of IDs that you want to search for, and you separate them out by comma. So if you want to do 0, 420, 69, sure, you could put those in there. And if you want to search for other IDs as well, the G8 TID is 6 numbers long, so you can search for that. So there we go. I always search for my birthday, and then I search for my kids because I'm that kind of guy. Alright, and 923 19. Okay, perfect. So we've got a whole bunch of things to search for. So now after we've got things put in there and you've chosen a filter, if any, you can also put no filter if you want to see all the results. Go ahead and check. No results found. Yeah, I expected that. Let's see if we increase it to 10,000. Nope. 100,000? No. 1,000,000? This will take a lot longer. But, oh, yeah, there we go. So you can see there, if you go out to this far, you get a lot. You can eventually get this. Now, the thing to note, though, and I'm gonna say this right now, is that anything more than about 1,000 advances is going to really be tough. So let's go ahead and we'll filter it off of let's see, TID, SID. Okay, great. 785 advances to get a SID of 69, which is, again, pretty nice. So let's go over to this TID/SID timer. So this is a tool that Lincoln wrote, and I kind of adapted the code for the websites because I wanted it to all be in one place. So if you go to the console of your Blink tool, there is actually a console for it, and it's not. You don't usually need to worry about it because anything that shows up in the console you'll see on the GUI, except for this one bit, which is the timestamp, and it looks something like that. And that's used by this tool to know what time you actually got your seed. So let's go ahead and put in our target advance. Let's say in this case we're going for 785, and then you need to get your seeds like that. I will probably edit that in time so that it uses the 4 seeds just to make things more consistent, but right now it just uses the 2, which again, you could just take these 2 and smash them together, and then these 2 and smash them together. So there we go. Here we go. We got our target advance, we got our timestamp, we got everything in here. If you click generate, it starts updating things. So you can see how many advances, what advance we're currently on, And if you look at your blink tool, I'll bring that up real fast. If you look at the blink tool, you'll see that it's right. 47 is there. It says 47, and it's 47 here for 48 now. This is the current timestamp. Not super important, other than to know this is what the timestamp is right now. And then here it's counting down the time to the next blink. Now, if you can't really see it because it's blocking it, but every single time this hits 0, the Munchlax blinks, so it's pretty accurate. And then here is the very important part, and this is how many seconds you have to wait until you reach the advance that you were targeting. So looking at this, we are going 785 advances. It takes us over 5,600 seconds, which I am very bad at math. Let's go ahead and bring up a calculator real fast, because again, I'm bad at math. 5,600 divided by 60 is 93 minutes, which, okay, that's not too bad. You know, a little over an hour and a half to reach your target. Well, remember that time that it was over 500,000 advances? Well, let's go ahead and update that. 5,000, 50,000, 500,000. Oh boy, that is quite a number now. Okay, so we're looking at 389,3670 divided by 60. That's 64,000 minutes, which is also known as 1,081 hours, which is also known as 45 days. So, just note that you don't want to go too far on the advances, because they are super slow, because the Munchlax doesn't blink very often. That being said, there are ways to get better seeds. The best way to get a better seed is to do this little trick. It's called close out the game, and then load it again. If you do that, you'll get an entirely new seed. You'll have to do the monitoring again. You monitor it again, get new blinks, and so on and so forth. But that way, you can do this as much as you want to finally get a seed where the IDs you want aren't too far away. And that's what I recommend. Again, 785 advances is about an hour and a half, but once you go further than that, you're going to be waiting quite a while. So I'm going to go ahead and find a seed that will yield something that I want. And then once I do that, I'm just going to go ahead and come back for the next part, which is actually how to hit the advance and get the ID that you actually want. So that's the next part. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and I'll do a little cut, and we'll actually get the actual RNGing part of this next. So here we are. We have ourselves a nice, lovely seed. I've already done a search for it, and I've got the target that we're going for up in the upper right, and I also have a cutout from the website up there so that you can see what advance I'm on and how much time we have left. So we have currently a little bit less than 4 minutes remaining until we hit our target. So once you have your seed and you have your target, you're going to want to get to this screen. This is the last screen you go to. You don't go any further just yet. So when you select, you're going to want to select your photo at your target advance. So this is basically your final A press right here. So when our advance says 412, because that's our target, we're going to press A. Now the good news is, once you press A, once it brings up the name your character dialog box, you can take as long as you want. At that point, RNG is frozen. Even when you're on this screen, RNG is still happening. The Munchlax is still technically blinking in the background, so it's still advancing at the same rate. And nothing else on this screen affects RNG in any way, shape, or form, so everything will still be on the same metrics. So you're good. You're good to go. Once you get your seed and you have your target, just get to this screen and get ready to go. Because you probably will still have a fairly long amount of time to get. Once you're on that advance, you'll probably have like 5 or 6 seconds to hit A. So you do have a fairly large buffer. when it comes to trainer ID, thankfully, but that's still not something you want to completely nap on. So here we are. We're at just about 2 minutes to our target. So again, that's all you have to do. Just press A at this screen at your target, and then you can take as long as you want to name your character. As soon as you're on the name your character screen, that's when the advance is chosen and everything is determined. You can take your time naming your rival. You can take your time getting to your final screen, getting to your actual movement screens. From then, it doesn't matter. So yeah, this is the only part of the RNG that's actually time dependent. This makes Trainer ID RNG not too bad. It makes it pretty easy from the perspective that you have quite a lot of time to make it work. But on the downside, you do have to wait quite a while. Like this one was doing 412 advances, and it took me 45 minutes to. Well, it took about 55 minutes or so to get to this point. And of course, if you go further than that, it might be even longer. Here we go. We are at just about a minute to go. 60 seconds is coming up now. So here we go. We're getting ready. We're currently advanced 404, if everything is to be believed. And again, you don't know exactly what advance you're on because you don't have CFW. You're not reading this from memory. But Project XS does a really good job of predicting this, and especially since the Munchlax is the only thing that blinks and causes RNG to shift, it's a pretty stable one. You can trust it. All right, so here we are, 407. And so if we do all this right, we'll get a trainer ID of 8. And keep in mind those TID and SID, save those for later, because if you want to do egg RNG, you're going to need those. And if you do it this way, and you RNG your TID and SID, and your Generation 8 trainer ID, you'll know what it is. You'll never even have to touch this spot. You can do completely 100% CFW less RNG. All right, here we are. 6 seconds to go. All right, there we are. So we hit A when we were at advance 412. Technically, at this point, RNG is paused, so it's going to keep advancing in the screen up there, but we're not interested in it. I'm just going to go ahead and close it. So here we go. We take a while to, we can do our name. Oh. And this is the good thing. There are the other gens where you have to kind of rush through getting your name as quickly as possible so that you can hit a certain advance. But there we go. Going to go with Cappy. Yep. And again, you can take your time. Make sure you hit yes, though, because if you say no, you go back to the other screen, and there's a whole bunch of other advances, you miss your target. Alright, and he will never be any of these. He will always be Barry to me. Alright. Now we're just going to hop into the game. So yeah, if we did everything right, we hit our target, and we got the trainer ID we want. Now, the downside to this game is that other games let you open up, like, you see your trainer card right from the very start, and so you know exactly if you failed or passed right away. That's not the case in this one. You can't open up your trainer card. In fact, you don't get to know your trainer ID until you actually catch a Pokemon. It doesn't display here. It doesn't display in options. It doesn't display in your bag. So, yeah. Right now, I don't know for sure that I don't know for sure that I got my target. All right. Let's see. Just changing some things here. Auto save off. All right. So, anyways, I've saved the game. So, if I did hit my target, great. If I didn't hit my target, well, I can always just delete my save and go again. So that's all there is for Trainer ID RNG. And again, I'll confirm further on that I actually got the right Trainer ID. Anyways, this leads to the next bit that we can get into, and it actually works out well because I already have a seed for it, and that is starter RNG, also known as stationary RNG, because this can also apply to legendaries later on. So let's go ahead and get to it, and we'll do a quick cut because in case I need to recover or have a problem here, but we're going to go straight into RNGing your starter from here. Hey, it's me from the future. Just turns out that I did in fact hit my target, and you can see right here when I went ahead and RNG'd the starter that the ID, the Generation 8 trainer ID is 00008. Exactly what we wanted. So perfect. Alright, so here we are right in front of where we're going to get our starter. So if you have your seed already for getting your trainer ID, then you can, instead of doing a monitor blinks here, you could do a re-identify. So that's just one thing that's different. I had to restart the game because I missed a target, so I'm going to be getting a seed and showing you how to actually get your seed. But for anyone who already has their seed because they hadn't restarted the game yet, you could just do a re-identify here, and that's perfectly fine too. So anyways, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get into this area here. Make sure you save right outside of it, but you can't save in here before you get your starter anyway, so, you know, that's fine. But this gives you the least amount of time to wait between getting seeds, especially if you fail, because it can be a little tricky. Okay, so we have to wait till that goes, and Dawn leaves, and then Barry comes over here and does that. Okay, great. So this is the part where we can identify, where we can monitor blinks and get our seed. Now, you might be going, but your character is facing to the side. How are you going to monitor blinks there? Well, because we can actually monitor Barry's blinks and get a seed off of that. So that's what we're going to do. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to bring up the tool here. Let's make this a little bit bigger. Okay, perfect. Ish. Perfect-ish. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to want to move that box over again. Alright. Yeah, I'm just kind of moving this over right in front of Barry's eye. And we're going to use his right eye, our left, just like any other time we're doing this. Alright, close. Alright, I think it's a little bit, the box is probably a little bit small, so let's go ahead and make it bigger and taller. And because it's not registering it really well, because we don't have a good screenshot, we're now going to have a raw screenshot, we'll go ahead and, there we go, decrease the threshold just a little bit. Let's see if he blinks in that. Okay, that looks good. So, here you go. Now we've got it all set up. We're going to go ahead and click Monitor Blinks. And ignore the seed over here. This is from an old recording. Go ahead, click Monitor Blinks. Alright, so every time he blinks, we should see an update right here. Anytime you want to blink. There you go. Okay, so there you go. Unlike with Munchlax, you only need to get 40 blinks for it to register, because your characters double blink sometimes, and that will help. That helps lower the amount of blinks needed. So here we go. Once we get to the 40 blinks, we're going to be able to do our stationary RNG. I'm going to call this stationary RNG because this is used anytime that you get a Pokemon in an event kind of thing, where you're not like taking a step to encounter it, or something like that. Like Legends are stationary Pokemon because you press A to start the battle with them. Gift Pokemon, like starters or the Eevee that Bebe gives you, that's a stationary. Fossil Pokemon, that is also a stationary Pokemon. And of course, starters are stationaries as well. So you can use this one tool for all of those. So there's a lot of different options, and we'll get to it once we get to the website. But first things first, we need to get a seed. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And I'll just jump ahead to when we actually finally get all the blinks done. Hey there. Alright, so we've got our seed. Let's go ahead and put that into the tool here. We're going to be needing this blinks screen a lot later on because we're going to use it for a timeline. But for now, I'm just going to shrink it down there because we don't need to use it right this second. So let's go ahead and first off copy the seed in. We're going to be using this BDSP stationary checker. Oop, nope, that's not the right seed. Alright, so we're going to use this BDSP stationary checker. It's on the website and under the BDSP tab. And this could be used again for legends, it could be used for starters, it could be used for anything that gets given to you as a gift. Let's put starting advance at like 200 because we're already at around advance 200. And default for max advance is 10,000, which isn't too bad. Delay is important. For most legends, it's about 84, but for starters, we set it to 64. So make sure you make that change. Otherwise, you'll be off. 3 IV guaranteed. Is this a legend or a Pokemon that is given to you that always has 3 perfect IVs? If so, click this button. If not, leave it be. Clicking it will just affect the IVs. It won't cause it won't cause a shiny Pokemon to not be shiny. But you know, just don't mess with it. Fixed gender. Is it a legend that's genderless, or is this a Pokemon that is always one gender? If so, click this button. Otherwise, your nature will be off. Advanced options. It's a shrunk down here, so you can usually skip it if you don't want to. But this, you can allow yourself to set minimum and maximum IVs per stat, and of course, it goes in normal method, normal order here. One thing to note is that I put it in so that if you control click any IV box, it'll set it to 31, so you can just do that quickly. Or if you shift click one of the boxes, it sets it to 30. And if you just straight click them, it'll set them to 0. So there you go. You can set that really quick, and then just put in whatever IVs you want to filter on. And then, of course, down here we've got our other filters. I'm going to pick either shiny only or square only. Those are the only 2 options here because you can filter off of IVs, and then you can filter your results off of nature down here. This shiny only button will go away because it is no longer necessary. Last but not least, if you do not have fixed gender, set your gender ratio so that it's correct. This is actually right. It's 1 to 7 female to male. So we'll set that right. That way you'll be able to see the gender right in the display. This is something that will change if you have your results. Like if you get your results and then change this to 50-50, it will change what genders are revealed based off of what was calculated. Anyways, I think we got everything. Let's go ahead and check stationary and see if we... no shinies. No shinies in the first 10,000 advances. Alright, fun. Let's go ahead and search 100,000 advances. Okay, and we see one at 25,000, which is still quite a ways away. So I'm going to probably get another seed after this. I just wanted to go over using the tool. Yeah, it's not even a good shiny anyways. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and get another seed. And if you do something like this, you go and you get your seed and you're like, no, nothing here sticks out to me. Well, just go ahead and restart your game. Let's go ahead and I'll show it. I'll practice it here. Let's go ahead and just close out your game, restart it, and you should have saved right outside the entrance to the Gyarados Lake. Well, not Gyarados Lake, Lake Verity. I have the red Gyarados on my mind because it's mentioned a lot at the beginning of the game. All right, and so it's from there, you just walk back in and you just monitor blinks to get your seed again. And then you can check it again. And you could do this as many times as you want. And then once we get a seed we like, we're going to actually have to use a timeline to make sure that we hit it right. Because there's a lot of movement and stuff that happens. So the tool can compensate for it, but only if we set it right. So I'm going to go ahead, find a better seed, and then we'll come back and try to RNG it. Alright, so I have gone ahead and gotten a seed, and it looks like a pretty good one. So I'm going to go ahead and put the advances at the top here, so you can, so our target, so you can see it. That's what we're going for. We're going for a shiny Turtwig here. So I've already advanced quite a bit closer to our target, but I want to go over the timeline, which is important for starters. So first off, when it comes to your starters specifically, you have to use a timeline because of how things progress. You're going to there's a bunch of jumps in between, like when the Starlies first appear, it advances a whole bunch, and then when you go into the briefcase, it advances a whole bunch. And so we need to do what's called a timeline. So you can see right here, there's a timeline button, which we're going to be utilizing. There's also some settings here to help you figure out when your timeline needs to be. So I'm going to shoot for a timeline buffer of 150. That means that we're going to assume that the timeline is going to take about 150 advances. So just to give us time to make sure that we don't overshoot our target. That's basically all it is. It doesn't actually affect any of the RNG, it's just to help you get an idea. And then I put my target advance right here, 6141. Now, final A press delay. If you didn't put a delay in the tool, you'd have to put the delay in here. But since when we did the website, we put in a delay of 64, just leave it as 0. Otherwise, if you put it in, if you put 64 in here, you'd end up 64 advances before, so that wouldn't be ideal. So I'll just leave it at 0. So here, if I give myself a buffer of 150 advances, it means that we should start our timeline at about 5991, which is fine by me. Alright, so let's go ahead and we're gonna go ahead and just close this real briefly. No, not that one. We're gonna go ahead and close the blinks for a second, because we need to get to where the first timeline advances. So this isn't the screen where you're going to be doing your first A press for your timeline, and I'll get into that when we start our timeline. All right, no, there. Okay, so this screen, this is where we're going to be doing our first timeline. So let's go ahead and bring our blinks tool back up so you can see it. So when you press the timeline button, you will see a timer right here says -1. It's going to count down from 10. It'll go 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. At 0, press A. Now, this is a fairly unique timeline in that we are going to... There's actually 2 timelines to it. Let's go ahead and stop the preview. So you can see here there's advanced delay 1 and advanced delay 2. Most timelines only have one component to it, but this one has 2. So you're gonna hit timeline roughly when you want to. You're gonna press A when it hits 0. Then it's gonna reset to 10 again and count back down to 0. And when it hits 0 again, then you're gonna press A again. So that's unique to the starters right now. I think that's the only one where you have essentially two timelines. But it's important because if you only do the 1A press and you don't time the second one, you're going to probably be about 48 advances behind, which you could, I guess, just, ignore and just figure it out based off, but just change your delay to make it work. But this is a lot easier. All right, so we're about 58:35 right now. So I'm just once we get to about 59:91. I'm going to press the timeline button, so I'm just going to get my mouse over here ready. But yeah, we're going to press the timeline button, we're going to press A at 0, wait till it counts down to 0 again, press A again, and then we should be in the suitcase, and then we just have to wait till our target. And the good thing about this timeline is that our advances right here will take into account these jumps and whatnot, so it should be accurate. Should be. The thing about doing something without CFW is that there's always a little bit of wiggle room because you don't know exactly what your state is, and there could be like an extra blink or something like that happens in the meantime. So it's close. That's why the delay is important, but you might have to play around with it a couple times. Alright, let's see. Yeah, we'll do about 50 more advances, which is about 20 seconds or so. Because this area is pretty stable in that there's 2 NPCs blinking. So it means that there's about 2 advances every tick, which is just a measurement of time. Alright. So once it hits 5991, we're going to hit timeline. Timeline. Okay, it wasn't really important that I hit it specifically at that target. It was just my, for tracking purposes. Alright, we're at 3, 2, 1, 0. Press A. So now you see it went back to 10. Now this second advance happens very, very slowly, and the reason for this is because there's 2 Pokemon NPCs in the area, and they're blinking to advance RNG, but you can see your character's face. You don't blink during this part, so that's why it's very, very slow. And also a little inconsistent because it's going off both Starlies. So let's see. We're just waiting for this to get down to 0. Oh, wait. Sorry. There. This is the screen. What's going on? Otherwise, we would have been off. That would have been bad. And 0. Okay. So now we should be... We're at 60. It believes that we're at 6166. So it will be 150 was a little bit of a exaggeration here. If I had done 100, well, if I did 100, I would have been off. But there you go. You see like 120ish on your timeline buffer would be good. So rather than wait the 5-6 minutes, I'll just cut ahead. So I'll catch you in just a few. Here we go. We're at 6139. Let's get in position. And yes, oof, crud. Crud. We're probably off because I went to 6142. Well, let's see. It could also be off on my timeline, so Yep. Okay, that's obviously not a shiny Turtwig. Alright, so this is great. This is great. We're just going to show off how to figure out what you actually hit. So, really, this is just a learning opportunity. Alright. So I'm going to close out my media sources here and bring up the IV calculator. And while we're doing that, we're going to get through all this. We don't know the nature or anything yet. Okay. So yeah, we're just going to go through. Alright, so once we get through, we'll be able to bring up our browser. We'll be able to bring up our Pokemon stats. So yeah, we'll calculate what our delay actually was. Which is a pretty critical part of RNG, especially with CFW-less RNG. Alright, so let's go ahead and check our summary here. Alright, so it's a modest male Turtwig. Alright, that's good to know. Here we have its stats. Okay, so we're not going to get exact IV ranges here, but let's bring up our browser now. Okay, so here we go. We have this. I'm going to go ahead and shrink this a little bit so we can kind of see the stats. There. Okay. Alright, and now I'm going to bring up my IV checker here. So let's see, we're level 5. I'm going to put in 1 speed EV because that's what Starly gives you. Let's see, we got 22 HP, 11 attack, 12 defense, 9, 11, and 9. And we'll go calculate the individual values, which gives us quite a bit of range here, except for these two, which is pretty solid, so that's good. So let's go to our tool, and you can see I've set my starting advance to 6130 and 6150. Those are just arbitrary because I just want to see a good number of frames, but it's somewhere in there, I think. These are a lot of results, but what we can do right here is just type in modest, and this way we'll see any Turtwigs with modest nature. Yeah, okay. Pretty sure this is the one we hit, and there was that extra advance that we saw. Alright, so we got 30. Does that compare? Yeah, 30. 0 to 3. Oh, that's interesting. Did I do the attack wrong? No, I did not do the attack wrong. Oh, I didn't put in the modest. That's why I did wrong. 24 to 31. Yep. Oh wow, got a 31. Wow, this is actually a really strong Turtwig. If I didn't care about shininess here. All right, yeah, 31 there. Yep, this looks about right. 0 to 9. Yeah. Okay, so we can see very clearly here that we hit advanced 6142. Now, normally what would happen is if you're off, you go, Okay, I'm off. Now let's see what my delay actually was, and then if you consistently hit that delay, change your delay right here. But since I know what happened, since I know that basically what happened is that both stars blinked at the same time, and so it advanced twice rather than once. So because I know that I pressed A on 6142 and we got 6142, well, my delay is pretty much on. So I'm just going to go ahead and try this again. And show off the result there, because again, this is comprehensive. I'm taking the same save from start to finish, so I got to get a shiny Turtwig. But that's how starter RNG works. So, all right, that's enough for this little portion here, and I'll go ahead and get my shiny Turtwig. All right. Ah, crud. All right. Well, hopefully we didn't get too far off. We might be off. We'll see. Alright, 372. Hey, we did it. Alright. We didn't get punished. It should be female. Yep, it's female. Sweet. I had to start the recording really quickly here because my target was really close. But I think, yeah, we're fine. We're obviously going to win this battle. But yeah, we got the shiny Turtwig. And we'll go ahead and check its stats just to make sure everything matches up. Okay. The reason that we were not off was because there weren't any advances, or we were just close enough. Sometimes, yeah. All right, female. You know, first off, we're gonna save. All right, now let's go ahead and check its stats. First off, it is obviously a female shiny Turtwig. And, oh yeah, another thing to note, the ID number is 00008. So, the trainer ID RNG that we did way back, well, for me, it was a little while ago, but the trainer ID RNG that we did in the first section, you can tell now that we were, in fact, correct, because there it is, 0008. Alright, bold. And it is a bold nature. Yes, that's good. Alright, so now let's go ahead and calculate the IVs. We know it's a bold Turtwig, and let's see. 20, 10, 13, 9, 11, and 8. Go ahead and calculate out those individual values. It says 0 to 9. 0 to 9, yeah, so 8, that makes sense. 4 to 23, check. 12 to 31, check. 0 to 9, yeah, check. 10 to 29, yeah, okay, yes. I mean, I'm pretty much 100% confident this is the right one, even without knowing the exact IVs. Let's go ahead and save again. Alright, so that is 2 types of RNG down. We did trainer ID, we did our starter / stationary RNG. I'll do another stationary RNG later on in the game, because starters are unique in that they have that 2 timeline thing, whereas like legends don't. So we'll do that. We'll do that later on in the game. But now it's time to progress, and we'll get to our next RNG type, which will either be wild, depending upon if we get honey early, or underground, which is more likely because I don't think we'll get honey before we get to the underground access. So either way, stick with me, and we will get to our next RNG type real soon. Alright, so the next RNG we're going to be doing is Wild RNG. Now, unfortunately, this one is going to be very difficult to do with out CFW in most places. The places that I would recommend doing this is caves. Caves, maybe there's a couple other spots that are easier, but essentially the reason is because there's a lot of NPCs in other areas that causes fluctuations in the delay, so it's very, very difficult to hit a target. But inside the caves, it's nice and quiet, so you can RNG in there fairly consistently. So first off, we're going to start off, I'm in Mount Coronet South here, just after getting to Eterna City, and so we're going to get our seed. So first things first is that you're going to want to stop your fidgets. So I just assigned the digging tools to an item slot here where we can't use it, and bring up this. When you do this, your character will no longer fidget, so you can get blinks. You can see they're just standing there blinking. Let's go ahead and bring up the blink tool. Nope, not that one. Let's go ahead and bring up the full one. There we are. So I have a config caves JSON. You should have one too if you've downloaded this, downloaded the latest repositories, and you can ignore all this seed stuff. This is just from my testing before. But as you can see in this is a little picture, but the box is right over the eye and everything. And so we're just going to get the seed exactly the same as we got it for starter RNG, stationary RNG, every other type of RNG other than the Munchlax one. So let's go ahead and monitor blinks. Alright, so we will be in 40 blinks, be having a seed, and then we'll be able to search the website to figure out what we're going to target and what advance we're going to go for. So I'll just cut ahead to that part where we actually have our seed. Alright, so we have ourselves a seed. So let's go ahead and bring up our website. So here you go, you got the wild checker here. Make sure that you're using the right one, because if you use like the stationary one for this, you won't get the right results, or vice versa, because they generate Pokemon slightly differently because there's different variables to keep in mind. Alright, so let's go ahead. We got this. You got your starting advance, you got your max advance. You can set those to whatever you'd like. Leave the delay at 1, and because it's pretty stable, we're going to be using honey from the bag to get the encounter. 3 IVs guaranteed. I'm going to remove this because there's no wild Pokemon that meet that criteria. Fixed gender, if you're hunting something that has a fixed gender or is genderless, make sure you check that box or the nature will be wrong. Only the nature though. And if you want, you can filter by IVs right here. And remember, click will set it to 0, control click will set it to 31, and shift click will set it to 30, and then you can build in whatever you want. We'll go ahead and select shiny only. Go ahead and see if there's anything coming up close. Okay, yeah, we got some stuff. And then additionally, you can filter by encounter slot. Make sure you get rid of the any first. And you could filter out that way, which is nothing. And you can, of course, filter by nature. So you're probably wondering what the encounter slot means, because that's the only thing that's different in this. And that's the whole thing about wilds. So if you go to Pokemon slots, you'll see your game here. I've got Shining Pearl up. I'm in Mount Coronet Entrance South, and there's 0 through 11. Those are the encounter slots, and it'll just find out if you're a day or night, which Pokemon you'll encounter. So, for instance, this one is slot 1, and slot 1 is a Geodude, which I do not want. And then we've got these two here are slot 5, and this is slot 6. So let's see what 5 and 6 are. Slot 5 is a Zubat, and 6 is a Chingling. Well, I kind of wouldn't mind a Zubat, so let's go for that slot 5 one. So 4, 5, 8, 1. Okay, that's not bad. Not bad at all. So yeah, this is your target. So I'm going to go ahead and close out the browser, bring up our blink tool, because we're still, you can see here, we're only at 165. So I'm going to go ahead and put in 4581. I'm only doing this for personal, so that I can just look at the advances and see where my target is right here, and keep looking at different spots. But we're not using the timeline section of this right now. All right, so to advance quickly, you can go ahead and close this out and bring up Joy-Con Drift, bring up your Pokedex, and just scroll through it a few times. How many advances you'll get depends on how many Pokemon you have in your Pokedex, if you have the National Dex and whatnot. But it'll let you get a bunch of advances quickly. So I'm gonna go 1, 2. I think I'll do it like 6 times. 5, 6. Actually, I lied. Move 7. Perfect. All right. Then after that, you're gonna want to go up and bring up this again so that you don't fidget, and then just go and click the re-identify button. And after 7 blinks, which it already got one of them apparently, it will then update your advances so that you know exactly where you are. So hopefully we didn't overshoot and we're just close, and then we can go for our target. If we overshoot, then, you know, these things happen. We have 6419, which is a pretty decent, it's not too far away, so we'll go for that as our target instead. Alright, we're up to 5 blinks. We only got 2 more to go, and then we'll find out what advance we're at. And if we're close enough, we'll just move on to the next phase of the plan. Because unfortunately, we can't use honey from this spot right here. We have to actually open up our item menu, and so we have to do that quickly. All right, and we are advance 4028. All right, that's actually perfect. That's really good. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get the big one away. Bring up our mini blink. Alright, so our target is 4581, so we want to be able to use the honey. So what we're going to do is we're going to close out this window, and as quickly as we can open up our, we're going to close out this window, and then we're going to open up our item menu. So let's go ahead and close it out. Alright, here we go. And then just go into your bag. Once you have your item menu open, your character will no longer fidget. So go over to honey, and just go to use this item. You do not want to use it yet, though. The target, when you reach your target, that is when you use the item. So I'm going to go ahead and take a little... Alright, go grab the... stats that we want so we can update it. And that is not right. Okay, there we go. So you can see the stats of our target, and we've got about 500-ish advances to go. Since we go about 1 per second, that is that 500 seconds. So I'll just do a quick jump cut to when we are close. All right, we're getting pretty close. So here we are. We've got my team right now, consisting of the Turtwig that we RNG'd earlier, the my level 62 Mareep turned fully evolved Mareep from Gen 7 that came over from Bank to Home, and Geodude that I caught as part of a test. And as for why it's named Philip, if you know why an electric sheep is named Philip, well, you're a nerd like me, so congratulations. Alright, so here we go. We got 31 more advances. Right at 4581, we will press the A button to use this item, and that should be all there is to it. All right, so yeah, then if we don't hit it, well, we'll figure out what our delay was, and we'll just adjust for it. But this is a pretty consistent thing. All right. 80, 81. Well, yeah. Okay, it's not shiny. Let's catch it, figure out where we went wrong. Alright, so this should be fairly easy to catch. Great. Okay, so I'm fairly confident that it's close. But we're going to go ahead and check its stats and everything. Alright. Alright, so it's Hardy, Zubat. Zubat only appears in slot 3 and 5. So it really does limit out what it could be. Alright, so let's bring up our... Let's close out all this stuff here. Alright, so let's go ahead, we'll type in, let's see, start at 45, 78, 40. These are just arbitrary. 83, because I'm pretty sure it's somewhere in there. All right. Slot 3 and 5 are the only ones. So looking at all the 3, 5, 3. Okay. So and nature hardy. Yeah, I'm not going to bother with the stats. We ended up hitting 1 before. So what we could just do here is we have a delay of 1, just change it to 0, and that would fix it. 4581 is the one that we ended up hitting. So we'll just do that, and then we'll go ahead and try it again. No big deal. So yeah, we'll stick with that, and I'll put in successful RNG next. But I'm keeping in these little misses because it's all part of the process. You gotta figure out your delay sometimes. Sometimes it's inconsistent. And especially when you're doing it without knowing exactly what advance you are on. Like if you were using CFW, you'd know exactly that you're on 4581 now. Okay, hit the button. As opposed to with this, where you're pretty sure you're on 4581, but you might be on 4580. So that's just something to note. So don't get discouraged if it doesn't work for you once or twice. It will work eventually, and you will get some really good results. And then it's just practice from there on out. Alright, so I will go ahead and cut in to the next time you see will be a successful wild RNG. Alright, here we are from a target, 9647. So we're almost there. I've been messing around a lot. My delay has fluctuated between 0 and 1. Sometimes it's 0, sometimes it's 1, but it's almost always the opposite of what I'm shooting for. So, you know, that's fun. Well, let's give this one a shot. 9643. Alright. There we are! So yes, this is exactly what we were hoping for. Slot 5 is a Zubat, so that's a shiny Zubat. Alright. So we just gotta catch this buddy. We're going with the green team. And boom. Okay, great. So we'll go ahead and double check just to make sure. But again, with the seed I'm running, it's not like there's any adjacent shinies or anything. So and there's shiny charm doesn't work in this game. Not that I have it. So normally with the shiny charm and the PID rerolls, you'd sometimes end up with clusters of shinies. But here, not the case here. So this is great. Yeah. This is exactly what it is. You just go ahead and do this. Again, mostly in caves. And after this, we'll be moving on to the next area of interest, which is the underground, which is still fairly new. So my last video I did on this is still fairly up to date, but I'm going to do it again because this is the comprehensive guide. You can get everything for BDSP RNG in this video. And yeah, go do underground. It's a lot of fun, and you can get some really, really cool Pokemon. So that'll be up next. So here we are in the underground. We are right outside of a spacious cave, just because I want to RNG in this one. There's some pretty cool wild spawns there. So the first things first is that, to note, you cannot get your seed in the underground just hanging out here. There's too many NPCs, there's too much delay, there's Pokemon NPCs, there's Diglets. It's just not going to happen. Now the good news is that we have a handy dandy way of getting a place in the underground that has perfectly useful, it's perfectly quiet, you can get your seed, and it is movable too, and that is secret base. So go ahead and make a secret base right outside the area that you want to RNG in, because what you're going to be doing is you're going to be going straight from the secret base into the cave or cavern or wherever you're going, because when you enter the room, that's when the Pokemon are generated, and you want to spend as little time out in this hallway as possible. So it's going to go ahead and hop into our secret base here. Alright, and once you get inside, hit the Y button to bring up this screen, because your character won't blink or anything will just blink while doing this. They won't fidget, so it's very easy to get a seed. Another thing to note is that I don't have any statues in here. You don't want to have any statues in here because of how they might mess with your rare chances and everything. It's just safer not to. Also, they don't actually affect anything else other than like your rare chances, and given that the tool doesn't currently support that, just don't have any statues. It's not worth it. Alright, so let's go ahead and bring up our blink tool. And we already have this set up for the secret base, so all we have to do is monitor our blinks, and yeah, I'm gonna... There we go. Alright, so yeah, I'm just gonna let this do its thing right now, and bring up the website while we're waiting for the blinks. So here we go. Here's the underground seed checker, which is again just for the underground. So let's see. The first few parts are all pretty easy to figure out here. It's you know, you put your seeds. Here's this game version. Set your game version. This one is Shining Pearl. And then story flags are also important to note too, because what level you are in the story will determine what Pokemon can appear. So in this case, I've just got the underground unlocked. I haven't gotten strength yet, and I'm going to be RNGing in the spacious cave. If you have the Diglett bonus, use this. I haven't really tested with Diglett that much. I don't know how long it lasts. And I don't know if it lasts between going into your secret base and not, so I don't know if it's actually possible for a non-CFW version of the Diglett to exist. Advanced options, again, the same as every other advanced option. You can set your min-max IVs. This one, there's a couple other filters. There's rare slot only, so if you want to just look at rare slot only, and yeah, I've got low battery. And down here we've got species filter. So you can filter based off the species, because unlike other tools like the wild RNG or the stationary, this one will actually tell you what the species will be. So you can filter out based off of species. And advanced filter, you can just filter out a certain advance if you want, and of course nature as well. So that's all there is to the website. When we'll go ahead and actually input all the stats when we get our seed. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump to the next part where we actually have our seed. Alright, so we got ourselves a seed. Let's go ahead and bring that browser back up. And I'll go copy the seed details into this. So, yeah, we've already gone over what each one of these, what all the options do. So we can just go ahead and try to find a shiny target. Alright, so we're going to click this, and this will tell you, there we go. We can find some Geodudes. Ooh, nice, a Houndoom. That's a rare spawn. And it'll tell you what spawn it is. There's really no way to know what order they spawn in, but you can still do that. And yeah, so it'll tell you the species, if it's shiny, if it has an egg move, and then of course its IVs and everything. So I think we're going to try to shoot for this Houndoom, because that would be pretty cool. 9842. So right now, there isn't a delay option, you'll notice, on this. So what I'm going to do is we're going to use the timeline tool, sort of, for the player blink GUI. So let's go ahead and put 9842, and then final A press delay, we're going to put 20. We're going to put 20-ish. It varies based off the person. Timeline buffer could be 0. It doesn't matter. We're not using that. So essentially, this will calculate out. So now we know that we should leave at 98:22. So one thing that I might add to the website is a delay feature, so that way you could just put that in, and it'll make it so that you'll know exactly when you should leave the room versus using the tool here. But that's okay. So 98:22 is when we are going to do this. Do the following. We're going to let me switch to our mini view here. All right. So that is when we're going to go out. And yeah, you see, it can be tough. You got to do it. You got to do perfect movement to be consistent. But essentially, what we're going to do is this is when we go out, and in. And that's all you're going to do when you hit your target and when you reach the target of your timeline, and we should get the Pokemon. So I did some movement outside of here. Let's go ahead and re-identify, because I do not currently know what advance I'm on. I'm pretty sure I'm still way below, but you never know. Alright, so I'm just re-identifying real fast. And then we'll know. And then we'll just do some advancing. You cannot do any sort of fast advance inside the secret base. You got to do it outside. So what we'll have to do is when we want to do a faster advance, we can go. There's a couple things you could do. You can either go into the room where things advance extremely quickly because of all the Pokemon NPCs, or you can just go outside in the hallway and do a Pokedex, which is what I would suggest, because that's a little bit more controlled. And then once we know where we are, we'll try to hit that 98. All right, we're at 11. You see, just in that room for a little bit put us up a lot. All right, so we need to go to 9822 is when we're gonna go. So let's see. Let's go through this Pokedex. We'll do it 10 times. 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. Because I know everyone loves watching the Pokedex scroll. Alright, so again, here we go. Hit Y and re-identify. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and get myself close to this target, and then from there, we'll go ahead and actually execute it, rather than have you wait. I will catch you all in just a couple of minutes. Alright, we are about to do this. First thing I'm going to do as soon as I enter the room is save. And that is because the spawns are set as soon as you're in that room. So if you save, even if you're to quit, leave the room, switch runs out of power, whatever, you'll still be able to reload the game and get back in there. So if you did hit your target successfully, you'll be able to get your shiny still. Alright, so let's see. I'm going to do this real fast. Alright. And just as quickly as we can get through. Alright, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to save. So if we didn't see a Houndoom, then, you know, we're just wrong. We didn't hit our target. So we'll just do a quick search around to see if we have a Houndoom. And then we'll probably catch this thing too, just to figure out what advance we actually did hit. The downside to this RNG is that there's a lot of delay and a lot of instability in it, because when you leave the room, there's sometimes NPCs there, there's sometimes non-NPCs. You don't know exactly how many advances you're going to go through when you leave the secret lair and go into the main hall. So yeah, we could be off by a frame, we could be off by more, and we gotta figure that out. So I'm gonna go ahead and catch this Pocky, and we'll figure it out. Pakirisu? Whatever, I can never pronounce his name. But the general goal is to make sure that you're somewhere within the right framework, the right couple of advances. If you're not even close, then try it again with a new seed. But as long as you're close, just do it a few times and then use whatever delay is consistent for you. I did not see a Houndoom in here. Alright, so pretty sure we didn't hit our goal. So let's go ahead and since we did catch this, we can go ahead and get its stats. Alright, so it's gentle, and here's its stats. Okay, let me go ahead and get its IVs real fast. Gentle. It's level 18. 52, 23, 27, 24, 45, 41. Alright, so we got our IV layout for this one. And now let's go ahead and bring up our browser. So we're going to look in the general vicinity of 9842. So let's go ahead and look at 9830, and we'll go all the way up to 9852. Just to be on the safe side. We're going to turn off the shiny only filter. This will create some, a lot of entries, because the thing you're not seeing is that every single Pokemon is generated at the same time. So you can see these are all, for example, 9830. Alright, so let's go ahead and we can put in the species filter. Alright, so here we have a couple here. I see a gentle one right here. And another thing to note is that there's no gender ratio, because this tool actually does determine the gender for it. So this is accurate. So that's female. So this one might be the one we're looking at. Let's go ahead and look at its IVs. 0 through 9. Yeah, okay. I'm pretty sure it's this one. Oh, and another thing, it has an egg move, follow me. Yeah, it has follow me. Alright, so we ended up hitting 9839, which is, let's see, that is 3 before. So if I had gone instead of at 22, I'd gone at 19, I would have... No, sorry. If instead of going at 22, I'd gone at 25, I would have been correct. So yeah, just keep that in mind. In this case, we put in delay of 20. We should have instead put a delay of 19. Or sorry, 17. But it's going to be somewhere within that range. So just do this a few times, and you will eventually figure out generally what kind of delay you're looking at, and then just account for that when you're entering. But again, there is some inconsistencies, just because when you leave the room, if there's a Pokemon NPC, if there's a Diglett nearby, that could throw things off. If there's a player NPC just hanging out in the underground, it could cause problems there too. Just keep that in mind. It's going to take you a few tries, so don't be discouraged if you don't get it right away. All right, so same deal follows. I will then have a successful RNG linked right after this. So I will catch you there. Alright, we are getting close to our advance here. One thing to note is that our target is 10941. Actually, in between me doing the last segment and now, I actually put in a delay feature, so that'll be live now too. And so I've got a delay of 20, so 10941 is the actual target where we're stepping out. We don't have to worry about putting it into the timeline tool of the Blink GUI. So, that's how I like it. You only have to look at one place. Alright, that was my timer to let me know to pay attention again. So here we are currently 31 advances, and then we're going to step out and try to RNG this. So we're going for a Magnemite this time. It's a rare spawn, and so we're going to go in there and we'll save. If we see a Magnemite, well, then there's a good chance we got it. Otherwise, if there's no Magnemite, yeah, there's not going to be two, because it's a rare spawn. At this point, I don't have the national dex, so it won't appear in more than one location. Alright, here we go. We're getting ready. 39, 40, 41. Oh boy. Oh, that was bad. Alright, well... Oh, shoot, there's a Magnemite, though. Okay, well, we're gonna save, and we'll check out the Magnemite. Oh boy, I can't believe that. So yeah, it looks like that little flub I did there. I was originally going to be at a much earlier. I was going to be earlier, and that little flub ended up getting things right. So yeah, this is again why I save, because one thing to note is that it's very difficult to catch Pokemon in the underground when you don't have a lot of badges, and I do not have a lot of badges. So this one might be a little difficult to catch, but that's okay. We're going to catch it, and we'll just skip ahead to when I actually do catch it, because it might even be a couple of resets. Thankfully, I've saved, so we can always come back. Oh no, Thunder Wave. Oh no, Supersonic. Alright, that's good. That's good enough. Premier Balls? Oh hey, okay, that actually worked out pretty well. I didn't think we'd get it that quick. Alright, so let's go ahead and we'll verify its stats, although, again, looking at the numbers here, it's very, very unlikely, I mean, it's actually pretty much impossible that we got the wrong Pokemon here. But we'll go ahead. Alright, so let's go ahead and bring up we have its stats right there. So it is docile. Yep, so docile matches, it's obviously genderless. And we can get does not have an egg move, so yeah, fine. Let's see, it is we'll do its stats real fast. And docile. And it is level 18. Okay. Alright, so 41, 18, 31, 41, 25, 22. And its stats say that it is... Okay, 23 to 27, yeah. 3 to 7, yeah. 5 to 9, yeah. 10 to 15, yep. And 2 to 6, 5 to 9. Perfect. Okay, yeah, I'm pretty confident at this point we got the right Magnemite. So there you go. That's Underground RNG. And as you can see, I probably would have failed had I not done that little flub, but that's okay because then I would have just adjusted my delay and we would have eventually hit our target. But that's all there is to it. So then we'll do the next RNG, which I think, given how the game will go, will probably be Egg RNG. So that'll be pretty exciting. And then after that one, I'm going to cut this video into 2 parts to handle the remainder part, which is all late game stuff like roamers, legendaries, stuff like that. But we'll do Egg RNG because you get to that fairly early in the game. And yeah, I'll catch you all in that next part. Alright, it's time for some eggs. Always a pretty lucrative method if you want to do some shinies and have really good stats. This is the way to go. So first off, you see that I am currently standing in a very specific spot here in front of the nursery lady, and I have not given any Pokemon to her as of yet. And this is important. You do not want to have any Pokemon, well, you can have one, but you don't want to have both Pokemon in the nursery. The reason for this, let's just explain the method here, is because every 180 steps, the game will check to see if you generate an egg. And it all depends on what your RNG state is at the time, and that's how the egg is determined. And then whatever the RNG state was creates an egg seed, which is then used to populate the egg that you pick up. So every 180 steps, it will check, maybe generate an egg, and if it does, that egg is set. It will not change no matter what you do when you pick it up. Which is unlike other gens, like Gen 7, Gen 6, where the frame you pick the egg up mattered. This one does. Now, one thing to note is that if you want to do a shiny egg, you're going to need 2 things. First, you're going to need your trainer ID and secret ID, which if you did your generation and got the trainer ID and secret ID from your RNG, then you already have them. If you don't have them, you're going to have to interface with them with a Sysbot, because you're going to need to trade them a Pokemon, get a dump file, and then find your trainer ID and secret ID that way. Unfortunately, there's just no way to figure it out otherwise, so you're going to have to do a little bit of CFW work there. But if you're really concerned about that, you really just don't want to interface with the Sysbot at all, just start a new save, RNG your trainer ID, and then you'll have it that way. Because I did RNG the trainer ID at the beginning, I know right away what my trainer ID is. I just have to go ahead and look it up real fast because I can't remember what it is. So first things first, let's go ahead and get to the point where we're going to generate our egg. So the reason I'm standing here is because we need to find a way to take 179 steps then actually RNG this. And the best way to do that is with Super Repels. Super Repel lasts 200 steps, so that's a little bit higher than what we need. So the reason I'm standing here is because what we're going to do is you're going to go ahead, go to your bag. Alright, and you're going to go find a Super Repel somewhere in there. There we go. They're down here. Alright, use the Super Repel. Now we're going to take 21 steps, and we're going to finish off the steps in front of the daycare lady. So I'm going to go up and down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Alright, so now, if we did our math right, we have 179 steps to go before the Super Repel wears off. So now what we're going to do is we're going to drop off our Pokemon. So I've got my good friend here, Japanese Ditto, from one of my Sword and Shield raids. And I've also got a Swinub that I caught here in the underground, which isn't shiny, and I would like to get a shiny Swinub. So let's go ahead and select that as well. Yep. And we leave. Okay, perfect. Now, let's go ahead. At this point, we can leave. One thing that I'm going to want to do here is they get along. Okay, we want to know their compatibility. Otherwise, we might not get the target frame we want. Alright, let's go ahead and fly to Twin Leafs Town, and you're going to want to go to your house. Alright, here we are. And then go up to your room. So now what you're going to do is, because when the Super Repel wears off, we will be at the last step before an egg generates, just go ahead and run around until the Super Repel wears off. Okay, should any second now. Ideally, if you're facing down when it wears off, that'd be great, but you can always turn without taking a step. Alright, so no, you do not want to use another repel. Use another one. And face down. Okay, so here we are. So this is actually a good spot. You can save right here, because it'll save your remaining steps, so you could always restart and come back. So now that we've done that, let's go ahead and pop up the bicycle so that we will no longer fidget. And let's go ahead and bring up our Blinks tool. Alright, so we got it. Let's see, we're going to use config room. And let's check the preview to make sure we are close, because I haven't used this config in quite a while. Yeah, you can see that we are very much not close. Alright, let's go ahead and... Yep, that's close enough. Almost there. Let's make that a little bit bigger so that we can really fit over the eye. And you can see here that it doesn't have that, the blue box is just filling up the whole thing. It's because the threshold is too high. I'm going to go ahead and decrease that a little bit. There we go. Now you can see it looks good. Alright, let's save that config so we don't have to do that again. Alright, let's go ahead and monitor Blinks. Alright, I will see you all in about 40 Blinks when we get our seed. And in the meantime, I'm going to look up my trainer ID and figure out what it actually was. Good thing I have this video backlog to look through. But yes, I'll be back, and then we'll get our seed. We'll figure out what step we're going to take what step we're going to take in order to RNG our egg. Alright, so we have ourselves a seed, so let's bring up our browser here. So we've got the egg checker right here, and this one is a little bit more complicated. It has a lot more moving parts to it. In fact, you can see that there's 2 tabs here on the sidebar because there's just too much information. So let's go ahead first off. We're going to put in our seeds. And starting advance is the same as always. Max advance is the same as always. Delay pretty much should always be 0. If you notice that you're getting consistent delay, you can change that. But the delay usually won't be more than 1. Then here we've got some options here. Do you have Masuda method? Do you have Shiny Charm? Do you have the Oval Charm? Check any that apply. In this case we're using the Masuda method because we have a Japanese Ditto, but we don't have the Shiny Charm and we do not have the Oval Charm. Your trainer ID and your secret ID, I filled in those already from what I know of them. But if you don't have these, you won't be able to RNG shiny Pokemon because you just won't know where a shiny frame is, shiny target is. Then advanced options, of course, you could filter by IVs if you so choose. No worries there. All right, parent information here. Compatibility. Do they don't seem to like each other? Do they get along? Or do they get along very well? These 2 just seem to get along. Then we have male parent and female parent information. You can fill that out. Unfortunately, I couldn't remember whether or not the Swinub was female or not, so I'm just assuming it is. Anyways, I know the Ditto has perfect IVs. The nature only really matters if you have an Everstone, but you can set it if you want. Ditto, make sure you check this if it's a Ditto. The program won't really care if you don't say it is a Ditto, but there's some ability stuff that matters if it's a Ditto or not. Parent ability, if it has ability 1, ability 2, or the hidden ability. This Ditto has a hidden ability, however, it doesn't matter because the Dittos can't pass, only the female can pass on the hidden ability, and in the case of the female of the pair being a Ditto, it chooses the male. So, unfortunately, we can't get a hidden ability Pokemon out of this. Do the parent item, do we have an Everstone, or do you have a Destiny Knot? For those of you who are not in the know, if a Pokemon is holding the Everstone when you go in the nursery, it will guaranteed pass its nature onto the Pokemon, the egg. So that's a good way if you want like a timid Pokemon, you can give a timid Pokemon with an Everstone, and it'll apply to either the Ditto or the other parent. But if they both have an Everstone, it will roll randomly to determine which nature it will give. Then we've got our female parent IVs and everything else the same. I know that this has ability 2 and no item. And last but not least, set the gender ratio here so that you will get the right gender. And this one is Swinub is 50-50. So I think we got everything. Okay, whew. Alright, so down here we have, you can filter shiny only, which I have to remove. I have to remove this. Then you can filter by nature, and you can of course filter by ability. You can do 1, 2, or HA. So if you care about your ability, you can filter on that, and that's a multiple select. Alright, we've got everything. We're looking for a shiny only. Let's go ahead and check. Alright, great. We actually have one that's not too far away here. Now, because I wasn't sure which one is the female and which was the male, the IVs might not match up exactly. But, okay, this seems fine. What's ability 1 for Swinub? Ability 1 is Oblivious. Can't be attacked. And the other one, Hailstorm. Okay, fine. Either one's fine to me. But we got one at 828, so we're already at we're already at 403. Alright, so this will be a fairly quick RNG then. So let's go ahead and bring up our mini blink. Alright, so we're looking for target is 828, so that's when we're going to take our step. I want to advance just a little bit, but not a whole lot. So let's go ahead and open up the Pokedex just a couple of times. And then go right back to this and re-identify. And so while we're re-identifying, hopefully we didn't go over 828, but if we do, it's not the worst thing in the world. But yeah, the compatibility matters because it determines whether or not a given step will actually generate an egg, and this one will only display steps that will in fact generate an egg. If your current advance will not generate an egg, it just will never show up. So that's why it's important to make sure you get the compatibility right. I mean, if it's lower than what it actually is, that's fine. It'll still generate an egg. But if it's higher, then you might be off. And what the oval charm does is it just increases that compatibility quite a bit. All right, let's see. We are at 530, 531. Okay, well, we can advance a couple more times. All right, so what we're going to do now is when we hit our advance, we are going to take a step. Basically, we're going to close this window, take a step. And then we will go over to the daycare and accept the egg. And if he doesn't have an egg, then we obviously didn't hit our advance. But if he does have an egg, we're going to grab it and we're going to hatch it, and hopefully we'll get a shiny swine up. This is one of those areas where having CFW makes things way easier, because if you look at the browser here, you have this thing called an egg seed. So if you have CFW, you can take a look. As soon as you take that step, first off, you know what step you are on, so you don't have to do the super repel thing. And second off, as soon as you take that step, if the egg seed does not match this one, you know you messed up somewhere. It's just way, way easier. But yeah, we do what we can. Alright, 698. Alright. We are 128 away. So I'm just going to go ahead and just speed up a little bit here. Because otherwise it'll be another minute and a half. Alright. We're about to do this. So yeah, if we don't get an egg, then we know we messed up. If we do get an egg, well, we'll just hatch it. We'll see. Right, here we are, 8. So again, at 8:28 is when we're going to close this and take a step. So I'm already holding it down. Okay. So we should have taken a step right at 8:28. So basically, what I did was I held the down on my D-pad, and then I pressed B to close out of that. So I would take the step immediately. Let's go see if we got an egg. Alright, so we got an egg. So, step 1. Let's dump our other egg. Alright, so now feel free to save, but what I'm not going to save yet because I want to make sure that it is in fact the egg we want. So this is we're gonna hatch this thing, and it'll take a little while. So just bear with me. I will come back in a few minutes. All right, it is the moment of truth time. Let's go ahead and see. Exciting. Yep, there we are. So you can see it's actually really, really easy to RNG an egg. We'll go ahead and check its stats, I guess, but pretty sure I either got the parents wrong or... anyways, let's go ahead and do a quick check here. Naive Nature matches up. It has Snow Cloak, which is, again, that matches up. The ability matches up. Let's go ahead and do a quick little check on its stats and see if we can figure out, well, at least get an idea. It's only level 1, so it's not like we're gonna get much, but yeah, we'll give it a shot. All right, 12, 6, 5, 5, 4, 6. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's just giving me a literal 0 through 31. I don't know what it is. Okay. Well, Okay, never mind on that. But the important part is that we got a shiny Swinub that just like we wanted to. And given that the next advance was 1962, I'm pretty sure that we got the right one, especially since the nature lines up and the ability. So yeah, there we go. That's all we've got for now. I'm gonna save, by the way. That's all I've got for Egg RNG. Please feel free to ask in their Discord if you have any questions. I'm going to end this part right here because we've done quite a bit of RNG. We've done Trainer ID, we've done Starter Stationary RNG, we've done Wild RNG, we've done Underground RNG, and now we've done Egg RNG. So the next part will have some of the later game stuff. I will have Fossil RNG because that is another thing that you can do. And then we'll also later get into the legends, like the Romulus Park legends and roamers. And yeah, that's about it. That's the only ones that are really left. And we'll do some random use cases as well. So look forward to part 2 coming out shortly. But I wanted to get this first part out because it has a lot of the RNGs that you're going to be using very consistently. So again, thank you so much for watching this. I know this was quite a long one. Huge shout out to all of my Patreons. They are keeping this site alive, and they're giving me the time to develop these extra things like adding all the BDSP stuff. And they've also been testing it out as well. So huge shout out if you want to support. I really do appreciate that as well. But yes, that's all I've got for now. Thank you so much, and I hope that your next hunts are successful.